What if your exhaustion isn't because you're doing life wrong, but because your hormones are out of balance? If you're a single parent running on empty, this episode will show you why and what actually helps. My guest today is Chelsea McLeod, a hormone practitioner. She breaks down what's really behind burnout, cravings, poor sleep, and low energy, and why so many single moms blame themselves when it's actually their hormones calling for care. Chelsea shares simple, realistic shifts you can start making right now. No extreme diets, no perfection, no pressure. Stay until the end because this episode isn't just about health. It's about reclaiming your energy, your clarity, and your sense of self so you can show up for your kids and for you. Welcome to Single Parent Success Stories, a podcast designed to inspire single parents. Here you'll find resources from self-care to finances to parenting and everything in between. Discover what it takes to thrive. Let the stories inspire you to what is possible. Give the woman in your life something that truly matters, or better yet, give it to yourself. The gift inside is for every woman who spent decades being everything to everyone else. It's time to remember who you are and rediscover your happiness. This isn't just a book, it's a permission to put yourself first again. Available now, because the best gift you can give is helping someone find themselves. Welcome to Single Parent Success Stories. Today we have a special guest, Chelsea McLeod. She is a hormone practitioner for high-performing busy moms, helping them release weight and increase energy by healing hormone and gut issues. So welcome, Chelsea. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so good to be here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming. So please share with us, how did you discover this wonderful world of hormones and what made you decide to make it your career now?
You know, I never sought out to be a hormone practitioner. It just kind of happened as a result of me healing myself. You know, I'm a corporate dropout. I used to be an e-commerce director at a publicly traded company. So I was in footwear for 10 years and I was running a big business at the time, a $60 million business. I had just moved to Sydney from the US where I was really scaling the business out there. And I just got to a point where I didn't look and feel the way I used to feel, right? And I'm a college athlete, so I'm used to having energy and working out and loving my life. And I had terrible skin. I wasn't sleeping through the night. I had crazy cravings. I didn't feel in control or at home in my body. And so I went on a little bit of a quest to heal myself and, didn't get the answers I was hoping for from doctors, didn't really walk away with solutions. So I went on a really integrative journey to heal myself. And in the process, I lost 15 pounds. I fixed my skin. My hair started growing back. I had a lot more energy and a lot more, just better mood around, my direct reports and my team. And so after that, I went back to school to become a natural practitioner. And so since then, I've just been helping, busy moms a lot, tend to be my target audience. And I do work with a lot of single moms as well who are raising their kids. They have the career, they're the breadwinners, and they're also trying to take care of themselves. So really helping women build protocols to help them look and feel the way they want to when they don't have a lot of time, when they don't necessarily have a lot of resource to free up. So just finding those hacks to help women feel good quickly so that they're in their fullest expression, because there's nothing that's more exciting to me than seeing a woman, she loses the weight, she feels good in her body, she likes how she looks, but it frees up this incredible energetic capacity once she does this healing. That's so exciting to watch.
Totally. And I love that. What was one surprising thing you found, like that you removed from your life that was contributing to this hormonal imbalance, would you say?
There were some little things at the beginning where even using blue light blocking glasses when I was on my computer after dark and, in the short term, taking out things like cow's milk and heavy gluten with processed foods. And that doesn't mean I never have those things. I'm not the type of person who says, oh, you need to take out gluten and dairy forever. No, but there's things that we can do as a woman that make a really, really big impact when we have the structured protocols to actually make it happen for ourselves so that we can heal our body and enjoy all foods. But I would say cleaning up diet in the short term was a really, really big unlock for me as well.
Sometimes we don't know, the simple things, what they do to our system.
That's right.
Because we don't learn this stuff, we just grow up, and unless something major happens that causes you to ask the questions, like it happened in your case, and you discover this a whole new chapter of your life that previously was hidden.
That's exactly right. I think so many of us don't have the blueprint to take care of ourselves, and until we start having symptoms, we don't look for it because we don't realize we need it. And so the women I work with, it's like they've just gotten to a point where they're like, I can't operate this way anymore. I'm tired of feeling and looking terrible. So let's do something about this.
So how can single moms hack, or any woman, busy woman can hack the hormones? Like, what is one simple strategy if they're, let's say, overwhelmed and they don't know where to begin? What would you recommend for them?
The first thing we have to do is we have to get clear on what the desired goal is, right? Because we can't, at the end of the day, I'm a health coach. So I help women change the way they operate. And it's not just follow this plan, do this, but we have to change the way they're operating on a day-to-day basis. And that's a big task. And so when someone hasn't done the pre-work before they jump into a health coaching program, to be like, what result do I want to create? And like, why do I want that result? Like, we always have to start there. That's the biggest hack, is like making a little bit of time and slowing down to be like, okay, what's specifically not working for me? Because once we know what the problem is, we can create a solution for it. And so for a lot of these women, it's like they just don't have the tools to create a system of food preparation. So they're eating like crap all week. They're ordering Uber Eats. They just don't know. They don't have a system. And so for these women, it's like, can we operationalize the food preparation process? And the number one objection I get from women is like, well, I don't have time to cook. And I'm like, yeah, but do you have time to assemble? Because like, here's a list of things you can go get from Trader Joe's and just throw into a bowl and heat up in the microwave. And there's your dinner for the week for you and your kid. And can you take these pre-made grilled chicken strips and maybe like put a little bit of breading on them, put them in the air fryer, and now they're nuggets for your kid as well. So like just little things, because I think so many women put pressure on themselves to make these big fancy meals when it's like, this can be easy and eating well can be easy. And so once we have that mindset of like, this doesn't have to be hard, and here are some like little hacks to do. And I just did a podcast on this on my podcast as well, of like, I call it the busy girl bowl. And so for any single moms out there, like, you should 100% listen to that episode, but it just tells you how to streamline your meal prep, because at the end of the day, like, what we put on our plate is ultimately going to determine how we feel, how we look, how we sleep. And so if you can just get that one thing right, it's so much easier. And I would also say for new moms, like, or for single moms and new moms, it's like, can we take a little bit of pressure off exercise and just add more non-exercise movement? Like, can we put the kid on our shoulders and walk to the park for 20 minutes? Because then you're getting core workout, leg workout, playing with the kid, getting some movement, and you don't have to go to the gym. Like, I think so many women put pressure on themselves to go to the Orange Theory and the spin, and it's like, maybe it's not the time to do that. Maybe we do that when the kid's a little bit older and they're in school and like, we have more time, but right now, let's just do movement with the kid where we're just naturally getting steps in and movement in.
Totally. So right. What is one of your non-negotiables on day to day? How do you maintain yourself?
I have a list, right? And so for me, consistent sleep and wake times is very important. Having a wind down ritual at night where the phone goes to bed at 9 p.m., no questions asked. The blue light blockers are on if I have to be on devices for whatever reason. I have a structured breakfast every morning. It changes depending on where I am in my cycle, but that breakfast is happening, and coffee is never coming before breakfast, no matter what. And I'm moving every single day. Even if I'm tired, even if I don't feel great, I'm getting walks in. I'm getting at least 30 minutes, if not more, 60 minutes of movement in. And typically when I'm doing screen time, for example, like when I'm on my phone, or when I'm just doing mindless scrolling, when I'm doing my social posts for my Instagram, it's like I am walking. So I kind of, because I'm very busy and I'm traveling quite a bit, so I always stack those kind of like silly things on top of stuff that is actually going to benefit my health. So whether that's walking on my walking pad, walking outside, I always try to stack it to make sure that I'm getting the most out of my time. And that works really well for my single parent clients as well.
Cool. Thank you. I think it's so important to to maintain yourself. We all know how to make a perfect coffee if you're a coffee drinker, and we gotta know how to make a perfect day for ourselves. And I think it starts with how you start your day and how you go throughout your day. So movement is a key ingredient in your routine. And I love how you say, like, we don't need a gym necessarily. We can just do a walk. We can walk around the block, and it doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't have to be rigid. We gotta, I guess, see how we're feeling, how our body is feeling, and responding accordingly instead of just regimenting ourselves. And I think oftentimes we create these big expectations. We've been carrying this weight for so long, and now we want results like this, like in 2 weeks. We want to drop all the pounds. Meanwhile, we gotta put in the practice. We gotta put in the discipline. So what was your kind of driving factor? How did you discipline yourself? I understand, like, you arrived at a point in your life, like, okay, I cannot live like that. But how did you, once you embarked on that regimented ritual, how did you keep going? What kept you motivated?
Always returning back to the why. Like, it was just really important to me. I'm like, I want a promotion. I want to meet a partner. I want a flat stomach when I'm on that boat party with my friends. It's like, I just had a really strong desire. And what I will also say is, like, I've never been an all or nothing mindset kind of person. And this is one of the biggest things that my clients struggle with, because a lot of time they are high performers. Like, obviously they're single moms, but like, they're also really hold themselves to a high standard. And so they kind of do this weird self-sabotage pattern where it's like all in or all out. And we kind of have to work through that. Like, that doesn't benefit them. Like, it's hurting them more than it's helping them. So it's like, can we be all in, but also expect that it's going to be hard, and expect that there's going to be days where we're not 100%, and that consistency isn't always being 100% every day. Consistency is being, maybe we're 70% here, and then we're 40% here, and then we're doing our best here, and maybe like this day we totally fell off the rails, but we make the decision that we're always going to course correct and get back on track. And so that's for me, like, being an athlete, I think that's like where people get the most benefit out of being in my energy, because it's like I have mastered that, and I've learned how to consistently show up for myself. And I think once you, the beautiful piece of hormone balance is that makes it a little bit different than like standard health coaching is you get fast results. And when you do get fast results, it's so much easier to stay motivated and keep doing more of the same, because you're like, oh, I made this little tweak. Now my stomach's a little bit flatter, or I slept a little bit better, or I'm already feeling more energized. My mood's a little bit better. And so it's much easier to stay on track when you're actually seeing results of what you're doing. And so I think a lot of programs or people it just takes a while to start to see the results coming through, right? But when you can see the proof in the pudding every day, it's so much easier to reinforce that behavior and be more consistent.
Totally. I think it's all about the small wins. If we see a result of, yes, we maybe struggled or suffered through it, but we saw something on the other end, and it would keep us going.
That's right.
How do you help clients who struggle with emotional eating or using food as comfort?
This is so common, and it's something that I've always struggled with, and it's something I still struggle with, right? Because we have to remember, if we just step back and look at this from an objective perspective, it's like food is a very logical and smart solution to an emotional problem. Like, you are creating a chemical change in your body, you are self-soothing, and like, we have to remember that food is like the OG self-soothing mechanism, because breast milk, like, hello, when we were distressed, we were drinking breast milk. And so we have to remember, like, food is a really powerful way to create a change of state in our body. The only problem is it's not always producing the result we want. And so when we are eating highly processed foods, or food that has a lot of sugar, a lot of fat, obviously it feels good in the short term, and then 30 minutes later it doesn't. And then it kind of brings us into this shame spiral where we start to feel feelings about the food we just ate to release the feeling. And so for a lot of these people, it's actually, there's no hack for it, right? There's no hack. I mean, there's things that I'll tell clients to do in the short term. Like, it's, hey, we got to remove trigger foods for the first month. Like, you just have to get them out of the house so you can create some space. So I always tell clients, like, when you feel the sensation coming up in your body where you're going to emotionally eat, it's like, just notice the sensations and create some space between you and the food. Make it harder to find the food, make the food not available, so you actually have to sit with those feelings. And, that's what we do in the short term, but in the long term, it's learning about how to actually metabolize and feel emotions without numbing using, it doesn't have to be food, it could be anything. I have clients who smoke marijuana, I have some clients who drink. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. It's just about learning how to tolerate sensations in your body and learning how to self-regulate, which I'm sure you work with clients with all the time.
Emotional wellness and mindset is so important in how we operate day to day.
Right.
Many women feel drained after a breakup or divorce. What are some small daily habits that can help restore energy and balance?
You know, I have so many clients who have been through a divorce, and it's interesting because when women come to heal their hormones, it's typically off the back of a difficult situation. So a lot of the time, that is a divorce or a breakup, relationship stress. I have a lot of clients who maybe are not divorced yet, but they're moving in that direction, and that is just depleting them. And so when we think about like the emotional depletion of a divorce, it's like we have to focus on inputs. We have to get water to hydrate our brain and our gut. We have to get high quality foods in. We have to structure our meal time so that our body's getting the nutrients it needs. And with a lot of women after the stress of a breakup or whatever, it's like I can see their nutrient deficiencies on their functional medicine lab tests. I can see their mineral depletion. So like remineralizing the body and using some really powerful supplements in the short term can really, really help. We do some protocols as well to support the liver so that women are, you know, not just metabolizing stored toxins, but also like stored emotions. And so it's kind of like an emotional and physical detox to just like reset your body on a cellular level. But for a lot of these women, it's just like, can we start to heal the circadian rhythm? Because a lot of these women are having sleep problems because they've been so stressed. So it's like we have the protocols to get them to sleep. I have, you know, I have a 21-day sleep course that gives like outlines this in detail, but just to give you like a top line view, there's a whole wind down protocol, like getting the blue light blocking glasses, making sure you're eating 3 hours before you go to bed, taking the right supplements can all start to heal your circadian rhythm. Because at the end of the day, like you will only be as energized as your sleep is high quality. So it's like if you're sleeping terribly, you're just never going to feel truly replenished. And so as soon as we get women sleeping, that's typically where things start to change. And that's also where you start burning fat, right? So if you're not getting sleep, you're definitely not burning fat. But also if you're not getting high quality sleep, and most women don't realize that they're not getting high quality sleep, that's also where you're going to see issues with weight and metabolism. So it all kind of moves together, but we just start with the basics.
Cool. How do you measure high quality sleep? Do you use like apps? How much time REM and how much time you spend on deep sleep? Or do you have another measurement that you use?
A lot of my clients use Oura rings, and you can also use things like Whoop, and Apple Watch it's not quite as accurate. I find that Oura is the best, but it tells you exactly how much REM and deep sleep you're getting. And so they have their targets, like they have a target for REM and a target for deep. And as they start to track all of their lifestyle things, they can see, okay, I ate ice cream before bed and my REM tanked. Or like my HRV went really down after I had a late meal or when I was watching a stressful TV show. And so then they can tie back the biometrics with what they're doing, and it makes it so much easier to change behavior.
Oura ring.
Yeah, highly recommend.
Cool. What one myth about health and wellness you wish women would stop believing?
That their age is causing them to be fat. You know, there's so many women over 40 who are like, my metabolism's just slow. I'm just going through perimenopause. I'm just going through menopause. And it's like, no, that's not true. Like, it's just not true. And it's a combination of hormonal imbalances that are not inevitable, but they're hormonal imbalances that happen that are confused with menopause, because menopause is literally just your cycle ceasing. And when your hormones are balanced and when you have a healthy lifestyle and you know the protocols to like really heal and protect your hormones, you don't get those crazy symptoms and like you don't have weight problems. So the weight problems is really a function of you not knowing the right thing to do for your hormones. And as soon as people realize that, they're like, and then I have women who are in their late 40s and early 50s and postmenopausal who are lower than their wedding weight. And they're like, oh, I thought I was just going to be fat for the rest of my life. And it's like, no, you weren't doing the right things.
Yeah, totally. What benefits does sauna adds to your body and to your overall wellness? I noticed in my questionnaire you answer this is your one of your dailies or weekly occurrences.
Highly recommend for women's hormones if they're not in survival mode. I wouldn't start with sauna for someone who's like deep in the throes of survival mode, but we need to remove stored toxins from the body. So there are huge benefits of just kind of helping clear your liver. And so once women do some liver detoxification and they're doing some sauna, they're able to metabolize their hormones better and they're able to release more weight. So I definitely recommend it from like 20 to 40 minutes as many days of the week as you can because it's super effective.
Thank you. Can you share a success story of someone you coach who completely transformed their health and life?
Yeah, so I had a client named Mary. So she was actually a mom of one son named I think his name was Benny, and she had recently been through a divorce, so she was splitting parent duties with her ex-husband. And she came to me, she was completely depleted. She had crazy brain fog. She called it mom brain, and I know a lot of moms can relate to that, but she had steadily gained 50 pounds since her pregnancy and since her divorce. And she was also experiencing issues with her cycle. She was very irritable. She was working full time as well and trying to get a side business off the ground, like a coaching practice. And so she was just completely depleted. And we started building some rhythms of success. We got her on her targeted hormone rebalancing protocol that was really personalized to her symptoms and her lab tests. And within the first 6 weeks, she had already lost 16 pounds. And this is what happens when you work with inflammation and when you work with hormones. Is there's a lot of people who'd be like, oh, that's not a healthy amount of weight to lose. And I'm like, I promise you it is when that weight is hormonal and when it's inflammation. And so the weight just started to come off, and like she had to size down into different clothes. She's like, this is coming off too fast. Like, I don't even know what to do. And, she started showing up differently at work. She started showing up differently for her son. Like, she felt like she got home and usually she would just lay like a blob and order takeout and try to make it work with her kid. And now she came home and she had actual energy to spend time with her kid so they could go to the park, they could enjoy life, and she was just not as irritable with him. And so now she's starting her own business. She is probably going to transition out of corporate once that is on just a sustainable, scalable size. But like, this is what happens when women choose to heal their hormones. And I think so many moms sit there spiraling, being like, who am I to spend money on myself? Who am I to invest this time in myself? But it's like, what women are not getting is when you don't invest in yourself and you don't pour back into yourself, it is a literal disservice to your child. And so it's actually having the opposite effect. When you are in your fullest vibration, when you are happy, when you are healthy, when you are whole, your child benefits from that and you are modeling healthy habits. And so, for any mom who's really in a place of depletion, it's like, we have to pour back into you and you have to make that choice. It's not easy, but once women can get over that hurdle and see how them being healthy can actually benefit their child, everything starts to change.
Totally get you. Like, you cannot expect a lemon to produce orange juice.
Correct.
So if we don't pour into ourselves, if we don't make ourselves whole, then what kind of person shows up for? If you don't care about yourself, at least think what shows up for your kids. What kind of person? Like a raging lunatic, a screaming person, or well-rested, well-balanced, the best version, and also teaching them, how to interact, not just for health issues, but mental and emotional and all that other stuff.
That's right.
How can women reconnect with their bodies after they've been putting everyone else on a pedestal for so long?
Girl, I'm still figuring that out. It starts with, I don't think any woman can be truly in her body until she just gets out of survival mode. And so the first step is literally healing survival mode. And that starts with eating the right foods, removing high inflammation and processed foods, reducing stimulants like coffee and caffeine, and just giving permission to rest. And so I think a lot of women think rest is a reward. But once women start to see it as a non-negotiable for looking and feeling the way they want to, they're forced to slow down and really start to get in their bodies and listen to sensations. I one little hack that women in my program do, for example, is it's called a vibe check, where every morning, just while you're still in bed, before the kids are up, before you're up, it's like, can you just close your eyes, take 10 deep breaths, and just say, what is my energetic level today? On a scale of 1 to 10, how do I feel? Do a quick body scan and just look for sensation. Is your chest thumping because you're anxious for the day? Is there tension? Like, looking for those little pockets of discomfort, tension, sensation in your physical body is just a way to sink in and start to set the intention for your day. Because when you start your day feeling like you got shot out of a cannon, like, you're not really setting yourself up for success in anything, with eating, with parenting, with work. It's like, can we just take those 5 minutes for ourselves to connect to the body and understand? Like, for me, I think it's just so important. Like, there's so many health coaches and Instagram influencers who are just like preaching all this dumb shit to do every single day. But it's like, but why are we doing that? And that's where I'm like, you're doing this because you want to be skinnier and have more energy. That's why you're doing it. So like, let's just do that and see how it goes.
And speaking of that, how do you cut through the noise? Because there is so much wellness information out there. How do you kind of figure out what is real versus a fake?
It's so hard, especially with AI, which is why I think podcasting is a really good way to get information, because you can hear someone's energy, and like, people aren't stupid. Like, especially if you're a single mom, like, you're not dumb. And I would like to give my clients more credit, because there are some people who aren't critical thinkers and they'll just believe everything they hear at face value. But you need to trust the person you're taking advice from. And like I always say, you're not going to get results by taking free advice from Instagram. It's never going to get you where you want to go. Like, that's why you hire a health coach, and you have to resonate with that person. You have to really feel out their energy, which is why so many people who I work with come through my podcast, because they really get a sense of me and my story and how my wisdom can affect their result. And so what I would say for anyone who's looking for any kind of help in an area, it's like, number one, if you don't have the result and you haven't had it for years, you have to outsource that. You have to get an expert to help you, but you also have to feel out their energy, and you have to get real, like, slow down, listen to what they have to say, see if you're aligned with the way they do things, because there's going to be a lot of girls on Instagram who are just like, yeah, if you want a big ass and a flat stomach, you just have to lift weights. And it's like, okay, like, are you down with that methodology? And does that person consistently have results from clients they work with? It's like, being on board with methodology, being on board with the person, and not getting distracted by like all these random reels that you see on Instagram, but like picking your source of truth, being like, that person has the results that I want. Their clients consistently have the results that they want. So that's where I'm going to be consuming my information from. Because when you start to pick from way too many things, it's like the information is clashing, and like, maybe they all work, but if you're using them all in conjunction, it's not going to work. So like, pick your lane, stay in it, and make sure you feel very energetically aligned with the information that's coming at you from everywhere.
Totally. Thank you. Of course, you gotta resonate with the person first.
Yeah.
Before you go do anything else. Was there any book or anything that you can recommend that inspired your journey, or something transformational that was in your life?
The Rain Barrel Effect by Dr. Stephen Cabral is really incredible. Mindy Peltz also writes a lot of books on, Fast Like a Girl, how to work with your cycle for perimenopause. Her work is fantastic. But it's also very focused on fasting. So I would say if you're looking to get into more of that thing, she's really fantastic. And also the work of Dr. Mark Hyman. He has a podcast and several books, is really incredible as well. Best in class.
Thank you. What is your superpower if you had to pick one?
As a health coach, I probably shouldn't say this, but like, it would be the ability to eat whatever I want, whenever I want, without getting full or fat.
That's incredible. It's the best thing ever. When we were kids, we could do that, and then as we get older, that could change.
Know. I can't have 10 fruit by the foot and be okay anymore.
Is there anything I haven't asked that you would like to share?
I would just say, for the woman who has the kid at home, they're doing the work, they're listening to your podcast, they're getting huge value from the work you're doing, because I know, like, I've obviously listened to your content and it's so special and valuable for these women. It's like, staying stuck is a choice. And sometimes we get to look at that and say, how is my situation benefiting me? And how is it limiting me? Because anything that's in our life, any result, situation, dating, not dating, feeling a certain way, looking a certain way, not being able to fit in clothes, it's all there because we're choosing it in some way, because it's benefiting us. And so, like, for those women who are feeling very stuck, but who are desperate for change, it's like, can you just do that exercise of like, how is this benefiting me? How is this limiting me? And how would I want my life to rather look? Because once the arrow follows the target. And so once we can set the target and shift out of those self-sabotage patterns, like, these women's lives can change so fast. I see it every day. Just know that, things are hard, but they don't have to be. And there's so much hope for healing, even when you feel stuck.
Totally. I do love that advice. I believe we all have a choice. We cannot control what happens in our life, but we can always control how we react to what happens, what we get
That's
to
right.
choose. We choose to be stuck or we choose to be healthy, and for being healthy you gotta spend the time, invest the time in yourself, put that back. So
That's right.
thank you so much. If people would like to connect and learn more about you, where would they go?
My podcast is called It's Not You, It's Your Hormones, Spotify and Apple. I also am very active on Instagram. So Healthy with Chelsea is where you can find me. I have a lot of free resources on there to help women. You know, I have the Busy Girl Guide to Hormonal Weight Loss. That's just a free ebook that you can find on my Instagram. And then from there, women who are really ready for results or they want to talk through different hormonal symptoms to see if there are solutions to them, they can book a 15-minute call with me to see if I can help them.
Yeah, totally. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for the work that you're doing. I always learn more about different topics from my guests. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. It was an absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.
If this opened your eyes about hormones, watch this video next, where we talk about healing burnout by calming the nervous system.